What if you had a secret that could end all your hunger? A single magic pot that could provide endless food. But what if the one person who knew its secret was also the most forgetful girl in town? In a time when magic was still whispered on the wind, in a small town nestled between rolling hills lived two sisters whose lives were about to be turned upside down by a spoonful of kindness and a flood of delicious, sweet porridge. The elder sister, Jane, was known throughout the town for her sharp mind, but her intelligence was wrapped in a cloak of pride. She saw the world in black and white and had little patience for daydreamers. Her younger sister, Ella, was her complete opposite. Ella's heart was as warm as fresh bread, and her kindness was a gentle melody in their small, impoverished home. Her only flaw was a mind that often drifted like a cloud, making her wonderfully and sometimes dangerously forgetful. Their days were a constant struggle. The ache of hunger was a familiar guest in their tiny cottage, where the cupboards were almost always bare. One bright afternoon, with her stomach rumbling a sad, empty tune, Ella walked into the quiet woods. The air was cool and smelled of damp earth and pine. Exhausted, she sat down beneath an ancient oak tree to take a sip of her water. Just as she lifted the flask, a frail old woman emerged from the shadows. Her voice was like dry leaves rustling on the ground. "My dear child," she rasped, a terrible cough shaking her frail body. "Could you spare a drop of water? I have not had a drink in 2 whole days." Though startled, Ella's kind heart immediately went out to her. "Of course," she said softly, handing over her flask. As the woman drank, a strange, warm light began to glow around her. In a burst of shimmering sparkles, her tattered robes melted away, revealing a beautiful, graceful witch. "Your kindness has not gone unnoticed, Ella," the witch said, her voice now clear and melodic. "For your good heart, I shall give you a gift. When you return home, you will find a small pot on your table. It is a magic pot. Whenever you are hungry, simply say the words, 'Cook, little pot, cook!' It will fill with the most wonderful, sweet porridge. When you have had enough, you must say, 'Stop, little pot, stop.' But be warned," she added, "you must remember these exact words, or you will find yourself in a great deal of trouble." Overjoyed, Ella hurried home. True to the witch's word, a small, ornate pot sat on their table. Her sister, Jane, eyed it with suspicion. "What's this useless thing?" she scoffed. "It's magic, Jane!" Ella exclaimed. With a confident voice, she commanded, "Cook, little pot, cook!" Instantly, the pot began to bubble and a warm, sweet aroma like cinnamon and honey filled the room as it magically produced steaming porridge. For the first time in years, they ate until their hearts were content. From that day on, their little pot kept their hunger at bay. One day, Ella went out for a walk. "I must remind Jane of the words to stop the pot," she thought. But just as she opened the door, a beautiful bluebird landed on the fence, singing a lovely song. Enchanted, Ella followed it with her eyes, and the thought of the magic words flew right out of her mind. Later that day, Jane grew hungry. With a smug smile, she placed the pot on the table. "I'll have this all to myself," she thought. Enchanted, "Cook, little pot, cook!" The pot obliged, and soon Jane was enjoying a delicious meal. But when she was full, she realized she didn't know how to make it stop. Halt, pot!" she tried. "Stop cooking now!" Nothing worked. The porridge kept bubbling, spilling over the table in a creamy torrent. It crept across the floor, rising like a slow, warm tide. Panicked, she climbed onto a chair, then the table, as the porridge began to spill out the front door and into the street. Just then, Ella returned. Seeing the disaster, she shouted the correct words, "Stop, little pot, stop!"
Little pot,
And at
stop!
last, the bubbling ceased. The house was a sticky mess, but the danger was over. "I'm so sorry, Jane. I forgot to tell you." To her surprise, Jane shook her head, her arrogance washed away by the tide of porridge. No, Ella, it was my fault. I was too proud to listen. But what will we do with all this? Looking at the sea of food, a wonderful idea dawned on them. They ran out into the streets and invited all the poor and hungry people of the town.
There's plenty for everyone.
Everyone, Ella announced with a bright smile, we have delicious porridge for you all. Soon the streets were filled with the happy chatter of neighbors, their bowls overflowing with the sweet, warm food. As they served everyone, Jane and Ella discovered a joy far sweeter than any magic pot could provide. The simple, wonderful joy of sharing. They had learned that their small home could be a place of abundance, not because of a magic pot, but because of the kindness they chose to share with others. And that's the story of the sweet porridge pot, a tale to remind us that the best things in life are even better when shared. We hope you have enjoyed this journey with us. For more stories to spark your imagination and soothe your spirit, remember to subscribe to Star Snooze Tales.